It took me a while to get my thoughts together on how I feel about the attack on Black Lives Matter and the black community. I got several pictures here of people that the right-wing media is using as foils in order to attack Black Lives Matter and the black community. The first picture I want to show you is a picture of Peggy Hubbard. Most of you should be aware that she went on her Facebook page and did a rant against us black people, and she didn't say we black people, she said you black people, so I'm assuming, since I'm black, that she was ranting against me and the rest of the black community. She was ranting about protesters in Ferguson protesting the death of a black man who may or may not have been a criminal. Based on his behavior, he could have been a criminal, but he was killed by police. So more than likely, no further investigation is going to be done. She got on her Facebook page and started ranting and raving about no protests for the 9-year-old girl that was killed doing her homework, sitting on her mother's bed. Well, that was just straight out false, because the community did march on behalf of that little girl, and shortly thereafter, the person who shot her was arrested and is currently in custody. But for her to rant and rave about you black people are the most dangerous, murderous people is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if you needed a little background on her, she is married to a black man, but he is a police officer. And her cousin is a police chief in a town somewhere near Ferguson, if I'm not mistaken. I checked her Facebook page and found that she had tons of pictures of her with nothing but white people, bikers, etc., and a picture of her husband posing with a woman that had a Confederate flag outfit on. Okay, that's her choice, but she should have disclosed her leanings as far as her police affiliation before she went on that rant, and it would have given us a bit better perspective of where she was coming from. Now, the next picture I'm going to show you is a picture of Sheriff John Clarke. Now, you may not recognize this picture of him because he's not in uniform. And yes, that is his wife that he is taking the picture with. Now, here is a picture that you probably would recognize. This is what you will see when you see him being interviewed by Fox News and by CNN. Never out of uniform. He's always posing in that Milwaukee County Police Sheriff's uniform. This person, in my opinion, is entitled to his own opinion, but should not be wearing that uniform when he makes it, because he's making it appear that he has the support of the administration of the Milwaukee County, which is not true. Now, he recently did an interview, and in that interview, he stated that the Black Lives Matter movement and the people that are involved in it are black slime and need to be eradicated. He also blames President Obama for all the deaths of police officers, which is absolutely ridiculous. This man is dangerous, and he is purporting to represent the black community, which he absolutely does not. Now, he probably will continue to be elected because he has a tremendous amount of white supporters in the area that he runs for sheriff in. So as far as him leaving the scene, especially he and Peggy Hubbard leaving Fox, that's probably just not going to happen. Okay, I originally stated that the black community, in particular black men, are under attack. The next group of pictures I'm going to show you are pictures of black unarmed men who have been killed recently. This is a picture of Freddie Gray, and most people will be aware that he died in police custody in Baltimore, which led to the riots that occurred. They are just now going into court to set a specific court date, with the defense attorneys trying to challenge a bunch of the evidence that the prosecutors want to present. So the jury is still out here as to what's going to happen. The next picture is of Walter Scott, and if you're not aware, Walter Scott was the black man that was shot in the back by a North Charleston police officer, who then attempted to cover up. Now, that officer was arrested and was in jail, as far as I know, up through the midpoint of August with no bail. But his attorneys are now coming back into court seeking to get him bail and claiming that they have this evidence that will exonerate him, which, you know, we all saw the video, so I would love to see what the judge is going to do as far as viewing that evidence, and whether the judge is going to set a bail on this. Now, the left is claiming that the officer involved here is ultimately going to be exonerated. The next picture is of Tamir Rice. Now, it's been approximately 2 years since the shooting of Tamir Rice, and the city of Cleveland is dragging their feet as much as possible for this case not to even hit a grand jury, let alone get an indictment and the officers charged. So again, this is still a case that's pending. Now, John Crawford was shot in Walmart by 2 police officers. The matter did make it to the grand jury, but the grand jury failed to indict. So as far as John Crawford is concerned, he will never see justice against the 2 officers that killed him. The next picture is of Jonathan Farrell. He was killed by a police officer approximately a year and a half ago. That officer today was released because the prosecutor failed to obtain a conviction. The jury was hung with 8 voting to acquit and 4 voting to convict. And one of the jurors made a statement that she had put on a chalkboard, what exactly did Mr. Farrell do to be killed? And the 8 people that voted for acquittal could not answer that question. The state prosecutor has declined to re-prosecute this case, so Mr. Farrell will not get justice. The last picture that I'm going to show you is a picture of Jamarian Longhorn. This is a 13-year-old boy who has been arrested for murder. The boy, when he committed the crime, which he freely admits that he did, was 12 years old. They are trying him in family court, but they are charging him as an adult. Now, this is a 13-year-old boy today, but he was 12 years old when the stabbing of a white kid occurred. How in good conscience do you charge a 13-year-old, or at the time 12-year-old kid with an adult crime? People, black males, our black children, and our black women are under attack. Now, I did not bring up the pictures of the two women that were, quote unquote, found dead from quote unquote suicides or other things while they were in police custody. And we probably will never know what happened with them. But we do see what's happening across the board with our black men, our black children, and our black women. There were 26 police personnel killed thus far in 2015. Of the 26 listed on their official site, 22 were police officers, marshals, police officers, deputies, etc. One was a housing authority officer, one was a U.S. Marshal, and 2 were dogs. And they appear to be giving dogs more benefit, more honor than they are of we in the black community. There have been 61 black men killed by police thus far in 2015. 61. 28 were killed by gunshot. 17 were killed by taser. 10 were killed, as described, death in custody, whatever that means. 5 were killed by police driving vehicles, and 1 was killed in an unknown manner. Now, they're screaming blue murder. The police chief down in Harris County, guys like John Clarke, are screaming blue murder, that police are under attack. And they've only had 22 police officers, and I say only, and I apologize for that because any number is wrong, but 22 police officers have been killed, quote unquote, in the line of duty, supposedly. And again, I don't know, because all they note is that they were killed by gunshot of some type. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were killed by someone else, because a large number of police officers commit suicide. But if we will just make the assumption that they were killed by other people, it's 22. And they consider themselves to be under attack. 61 unarmed black men have been killed by police or while in police custody. If 26 equals being under attack, what does 61 equal? Now, you've got all of these people screaming blue murder about Black Lives Matter, and how it's inciting the citizens to commit heinous crimes. And that's a bunch of bullshit. The Black Lives Matter movement has not, as far as I have been able to discover, advocated any type of harm to law enforcement. They have come up with their Campaign Zero, which is a list of 10 objectives in order to improve their relationships with not just the black community, but all communities. But apparently these objectives are so radical, so beyond the norm, so inflammatory that these, and I use the word loosely, police officers are in fear of their lives if any or all of them were enacted. People, we need to wake up. And I know that this is being addressed primarily to the black community, but guess what? Hispanics are being killed by police. White people are being killed by police. Asians are being killed by police. Because black people have decided to take a stand and to demonstrate and to flex whatever little bit of power that we have in order to save as many black lives as possible from being killed by police. And again, their agenda is strictly to get police reform. So anybody who wants to discuss black on black crime, you take that someplace else, because though it is very important, this is not one or any of the goals that this movement is supporting. Now later on, if somebody wants to form another group, and there are multiple groups out there that are demonstrating and trying to work within the black communities in order to reduce black on black crime, but unfortunately, the media outlets such as CNN and Fox News will never show people marching in the streets and coming together and meeting to try to work on the black on black crime issue. So whenever they bring that up, I always say it's a false narrative, because there are people that are working to try to reduce black on black crime. The other point I bring up is, why is white on white crime never discussed? Because that is a much bigger issue than black on black crime, just based on the numbers alone. But be that as it may, I'd rather concentrate on us first, and then if we can get our problems worked out, then we can expand out to everyone else. Anyway, that's it for this particular video. Reasonable, well-mannered comments are welcome. Anybody going off on a tangent, I will tell you in advance, if it's, you can say what you want, you can disagree with me if you want, but if you start getting stupid, I'm going to block you and I'm going to mute you. So take a word of advice, save yourself some time and effort if that's where you want to go, but if you want to have a legitimate discussion, your comments are welcome.